Due to adult content, parental discretion is advised.
To begin.
Are you watching closely?
To begin.
I'm bored.
How to start.
What plaything can you offer me today?
Here's the deal. Just give me the facts.
Just the facts. Only the facts.
Breathe. Focus. Keep it simple.
No doubt. Okay, welcome to Cock and Bull Minute, a Tristram Shandy story. A podcast in which, eventually, ostensibly, at some point, we will be talking about the 2005 film Tristram Shandy, a cock and bull story, 1 minute at a time.
Good Lord, what is this story all about?
Cock and a bull story.
Here's your host, me, Robert Black. And we're back with Group 14, Ex Machina versus Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. We barely talked about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind last time, and that's okay. Because great movies need room to breathe.
Definitely. And this is another great one.
And Thomas Howeth is back again from, what's it called, Crit Stormcast?
Crit Stormcast, yes.
Crit Stormcast, D&D show. So what is your character on that show?
I play Pock, a Changeling Ranger.
Ooh, Changeling, nice.
Yeah.
What's he like? Or she like?
I've had such a hard time. It's weird. I have other games that I played, as I mentioned before, and those characters have been a lot easier to get into. I'm still kind of figuring Pock out, which is good because he's a changeling, for one. You know,
yeah.
He's always kind of shifting.
Yeah, it can be part of the personality.
Right. But I think he's taken on this kind of protector role. He kind of wants to protect everybody around him, but he's not very good at it. So he fumbles a lot, and he's getting closer with one of the other players, his buddy, his gnome rogue friend, Lemmy. We're kind of fleshing out their experiences together, and that's been fun. But yeah, he's awkward in public and getting a little better in the group, I think. So,
for those of you familiar with D&D, I'm about to confuse changelings with doppelgangers, and they don't realize it until after the conversation's over. Oh well. In a campaign I used to play in, I was a storm sorcerer who was like this really posh, like she grew up around rich people. And then the character got captured and presumed dead. After the session, the DM's like, you want to come back as a changeling? I'm like, yes, absolutely. And so the next thing, the other character came back in to rescue me. They thought I'd been tortured. And so when I come back, I'm acting a little different. And what it was is he had set up a backstory for the changeling as it worshipped, what is it? It's the god of like pain and torture. I forget the name. And so she's like wearing this new armor that like has spikes on the inside, and she's really emo, and they're like, oh shit, she got edgelord now that she was tortured. Geez. I'm like, yeah. So I just played up this like she's this damaged person, and really she's just a changeling pretending to be their friend. And I played longer as the changeling than I had as the original character, and they didn't even know.
It's interesting because I hadn't played D&D for years, and I started out playing this character. And I think when I made this character, I wasn't familiar, I guess, with the concept of really getting into role playing.
Yeah.
So since then, I've gone and played other characters in these other campaigns, and I've really like applied myself to it. Now I'm having to kind of go backwards and start applying stuff to this other character who's more important, I guess, in the way that it's for an audience instead of just my own amusement.
So you want it to have some personality if the people are going to be listening.
Right.
My current character is she's not 11 anymore, a 12-year-old girl who is a fallen ASMR and has a haunted one background. So she's like started out dark. In my speech classes that I teach, when I talk about like how to like attention getters at the beginning of speech, like if I want to tell you about D&D, you know how I start? Every 2 weeks I pretend to be an 11-year-old girl. They're like, what? Like, exactly. Funny. I got your attention.
Our newest cast member, she brought in a character that's a fallen ASMR with the haunted one background.
It's a good combo.
Yeah.
It's like my character was...
She's come in and she just wrecks face everywhere. It's awesome.
Slowly, the other characters and players have found out my backstory. And it's like, my father was an evil wizard that experimented on people in the basement. I went in the basement once. It fucked with my head, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's where it came from. And so my character is very weird. She's trying to be good. She's got a cleric level now.
Oh, nice.
She wants to be able to resurrect her brother who died in the fight between her and her father. But she's a little kid. She doesn't know anything yet.
Yeah.
She's like, where do we go when we die? Which is fun in D&D to have that conversation.
Oh, definitely. When we don't even know on our own plane exactly, we're going to apply it to a different plane.
In D&D, there are rules for that, but it's like,
right.
these characters wouldn't know, you know?
That's
So
cool.
it's like, we got to go figure it out. And so much, yeah, now we're talking about D&D. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. In case you haven't seen it, listener, go watch it. Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, about a guy who is having his relationship with a woman erased from his mind. The problem is because they start erasing it with the bad memories of where the relationship went wrong, as they get farther back, he wants it, and he doesn't want them to erase it. Hilarity ensues. Painful hilarity.
Oh, painful hilarity. Yeah. This movie has so much to unpack. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about any relationship, every relationship's going to be hard. It
Mhm.
takes work. And if you look at where they are in the relationship, it really seems like they've gotten to a point where neither one of them is really working at it anymore.
Right.
And that's generally when a relationship fails. And all the stuff that he goes through, you almost feel like it could be handled in a good therapy session with each other, like some couples counseling to remember, to really like get down and remember the good times again, to find out why they love each other.
Yeah. It's like that's when your couples therapist tells you to take like a dance class together, you know, or get a new hobby.
Right. Something to reignite the fire or whatever. And then it's so awesome that somehow in all of that, they fall in love with each other all over again.
Yeah.
You know, like, is this meant to be, or, you know?
Well, that's what I love about the structure, is that because it goes in reverse with their relationship, you can see it's that point where they were happy. Suddenly he wants it. He wants to keep this relationship. I'm like, no, dude, it's still going to go the other direction eventually, which is the whole point at the end of the movie.
Do you think it does? You don't think that they can take what they learned from this and apply some stuff and hopefully make it grow?
I think the movie as it is does leave hope, because they know what they did. They know what they have. They know what they don't like about each other, and they could use that to go forward. The original ending of the script, though, is that as like old people, they were still doing the same thing.
Oh, wow.
They'd get in a relationship, erase it, get in a relationship, erase it, and just kept doing it over and over because they couldn't get it together, which is very bleak, but also kind of funny.
How brutal would it be to listen to those tapes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Or listen, not to recording them, listen to the other person's tape about you, like, bared to your soul, no holding back, because you're not going to remember or regret this tomorrow. Just saying.
Right. And you have to be thorough, because otherwise they can't erase them.
Right. Just saying.
So you have to say everything you think about that person.
And you're in pain at that point, because you wouldn't be doing this anyway if you weren't. So all the worst of it is coming out. There's no filter. You're just letting it go. And
they're very simple examples at the end of the movie where, like, on his tape about her, he's saying like she puts her hair on like a personality, you know? And he's like, no, I love your hair. And it's like, you could love it and still think it's a shallow thing that she does all the time. You know?
Right.
It can be both, unfortunately.
¿Por qué no las dos?
But in relationships, yeah, if you aren't working at it, then those things that you may have liked become things that are just always there and in the way.
So when watching, I actually just watched this. I watched it today after work before we started recording.
Oh, nice.
And why do you think they put, what's his name in this? Gosh, they said his name so many times.
Patrick?
And now I can't think of it. Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
Why do you think they added Patrick into this?
Well, it's an easy way for us to see scenes with Clementine in the present. We need to know that there's something wrong with her with a relationship erased. We need to see that this causes damage.
Okay, I can get that.
Because it's not as obvious with Mary.
Right.
Because Mary is still very much the person she used to be and has built a brand new crush on her boss. Even though their affair has been erased, she's now worked herself back into that space without even realizing it was ever erased. So we need to know that, no, this could do damage to you if it's part of what makes you you.
It's interesting that with these two examples that were shown, that this is the first time they've had problems, because there's got to be either they're happy about the repeat business, or they've got to had to have realized that this isn't working as well as they thought it was.
Well, if we assume at the end that Mary has all of the files in her trunk, this business hasn't been actually operating that long.
There is that, yeah, because she's only got the two boxes.
I mean, I think it looks like something that has to have been streamlined a lot before that, but maybe it wasn't commercial. Or, I think I argued in my blog when I wrote about this movie, it can't be commercial. They literally can't charge people money for it.
Oh.
Because what do you put on the receipt?
Right.
Yeah.
You could literally charge anything you wanted and they'd never remember it, though.
Well, right, but when they see it on their bank statement, they're like,
yeah.
Who the hell took thousands of dollars out of my account and for what? They're like, no, we erased someone. You're like, no, you didn't.
And there's also that. There's like no way that you could be as thorough as you need to be with stuff in the modern day where everything's digital. It would be impossible. I could see it being a good venue for like the lady that's in the clinic when he goes in and she's mourning her dead animal.
Yeah, because there's probably less there physically.
Right. And she's probably the only one interacting with it, and she's already older too.
Well, there's even a nice idea to them. They're talking about like there's an emotional core to each memory. If you remove that emotional element, but maybe the memories stick around, it also could be a useful thing. It's kind of like therapy where you learn, you can grieve over a lost relationship or grieve over someone dying. And at a certain point, you still grieve, but you get used to the grief and you kind of are able to get along with your day.
Yeah.
And so if you could just decrease the emotional aspect while keeping the memory, it'd be like therapy.
Right.
But it'd be faster therapy, which in America especially, but lots of modern society around the world, we would love that, you know?
Right.
I want to fix my psychological problems today.
Today, right now, please.
It's like all I have to do is put a bag of stuff from my apartment and bring it here. I'm in. Yes.
So what is it that the other guy that's in the clinic, what's he getting rid of? The one with the trophy. What do you think it is that he's wanting to delete?
I assumed it was, I forget if you can read the trophy, but I wasn't paying attention to the trophy this time. I assumed before that it was like maybe a child.
I can see that.
Like he had a child who was like maybe an athlete or something, and so something happened to him and there was an accident. They died. It was, in a way, it doesn't matter. You just have to see that objects matter,
right? Because
like, what are Joel's objects? A cup, some potatoes, a lot of drawings.
Yeah,
and drawings are going to be weird because I mean, even at the end of the movie, he still has one,
right?
But also, did her presence influence other drawings that wasn't as obvious?
Right. Because that's how art works.
Yeah.
It draws from all of our subconscious and makes its way into these pictures that we put up.
It's like, yes, this is a drawing of her, but that drawing over there is what it is because she suggested it. Or there's all these other ways that memories connect to each other.
Right. Well, the reason I was asking about the other people in the clinic is because he just gets such instant frontline access to this place.
Well, yeah.
And that's got to be like horrible, like for these other people.
I think it's because they're a young organization and he found out the thing he wasn't supposed to find out.
Yeah. So they're trying to make it right.
So they're like, we need to deal with this right away. So there's no lawsuit. Fine. We'll do yours for free.
So then we have Mark Ruffalo, his poor character.
It's a great, his character has, I'm not sure he has much of a plot. I mean, he has this relationship with Mary that at the end of the movie could have been very different if he had been the one who erased her memory, but he says he didn't.
Oh, yeah. She would have been very upset with him if he had done it and then not said anything.
Right. That would have been a much different ending. Otherwise, he's just the character who's there to keep everyone connect everyone else to the memory erasure. So he doesn't have a story. But he still seems like a good character.
I definitely believe him when he says that he didn't do it because he was so upset at Patrick for going through and utilizing his new information to kind of woo Kate Winslet's character.
I had a thought on memory and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's the idea that like memory is you can only remember something once.
Interesting.
And then the second time you are actually remembering the memory of it.
Oh, right. I've heard that somewhere before.
You know, and so every time you think of something, it's altered, but because that would affect all of these objects. That would affect, like one of the things he puts in the bag is that stuffed skeleton that he's got.
Right.
Which that may have come from something entirely different in his life. And now he's missing it and doesn't know why. And the weirdest thing, the opening scene with him is he wakes up in blue pajamas that he bought yesterday. He doesn't remember buying them.
Right.
You know how crazy that would be if you wake up in pajamas you don't own? I'm calling the cops. I'm like, I'm checking if I have a scar by my kidney. It's it's such a weird, the reality of the movie is something that would be so amazing in a way and horribly fucked up.
Definitely. I mean, it gets into like Total Recall territory there too, you know, like.
Right. If you can erase memories, can I add memories?
Yep.
Probably. Can I take that person's memories? Probably.
Could I insert those memories into somebody else?
Right. Then you get into a modify memory spell from D&D.
It could be a whole new kind of therapy to just take those memories, put them in Clementine, and have her understand his point of view so much easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or like you're not dealing well with your breakup. Let me give you this memory of this person who broke up with someone 20 years ago. They're over it. Here's what that's like.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. It puts it in perspective.
Also, can you imagine having to unpack his, I guess, his tertiary relationship with the memories of her that he had in the erasing, you know, where he's learning all this stuff and he's conversing with her and she's never actually had those conversations.
Right.
So back in the real world, when they start dating and he's like trying to bring this stuff up, she's like, what are you talking about?
Well, and
that wasn't me.
In a way, he might not be able to bring that up. She just got other memories of his erased. He doesn't remember probably the moment that his mother caught him masturbating.
Right.
Because now they've erased that because he connected the memory to her. And he doesn't remember those kids bullying him.
How much better is his life now without that memory?
And so maybe he's a different person without those memories from his childhood. And
oh, that would be deep.
It's not even like your relationships. It's you take one little moment of your life and twist it. How much does it change everything else in connection to it?
Definitely. I think it's interesting that they add in the relationship of his sister and her boyfriend or her husband.
Yeah, it's his sister and her husband.
How they have their...
Yeah, they're barely in the movie, but where they are, it's an interesting counterpoint to...
Especially because their relationship is having problems.
Yeah.
Like they're obviously not in a great place, but they're working through it. They're not giving up. They're trying their best to keep holding on to whatever it is they have. But every time you're with them, they're battling back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fighting about something. And yeah, they disappear from the movie for a while, but then by the end of the movie, we see them earlier.
Yeah. With the crush.
Because now we're back at the beginning of when he met Clementine.
Yeah.
And his sister is asking, oh, I saw you with a girl. And it's like his sister and her husband are also in a slightly better place because their relationship backtracked in what we're seeing.
But even then, she's like, they're arguing about how he crashed the plane and...
Yeah. But you could imagine that there are people who have relationships like theirs and still end up married forever.
Right.
But you give the option to erase, and then someone like Clementine, I love that she defends herself that way in Joel's head. It's like, I'm impulsive.
Yeah.
Like, of course she was going to do this if it existed. Joel wouldn't.
Right. Until he realized what she did. And then he's like, well, I'll do it too so that at least I don't have to be in pain alone. Such a good movie. It's like, I felt like when I reached out to you this afternoon asking when you wanted to do it, I was a little emotionally drained from watching it. I had to take a little bit before I could talk about it. Yeah,
I've watched, when did I watch this one? It was just a couple nights ago. Yeah, I watched this movie right after Hearts Beat Loud. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
We'll talk about me and someone else will talk about that in a later episode. I forget who, in a few weeks, but that's about a father and daughter, and the daughter's about to go off to college. And then they like as a hobby, they write songs together, but one of their songs gets on Spotify and goes kind of big. He wants to make a band with her, but she's going to college. And it's this really touching story about like being able to let go of someone and let go of things. And then meanwhile, in the real world, one of my kids recently moved to Seattle and is gone. And I'm watching that and then watching Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with like relationship breaking up and all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm just deliberately making myself sad.
Right.
But apparently I like that.
Yeah.
As listeners would have heard with my Excel sheet last week, where I figured out most of the movies on this list have some sort of melancholy or sadness to them.
I mean, they make movies like this because dealing with these kind of emotions through a third party like this, through a movie or something, can be so helpful to people. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's therapeutic to be able to, see emotions in other people and realize you're not the only one going through them or something like that.
Even if they're fictional, because
right,
I was a comm major in grad school. It's like parasocial relationships. It doesn't matter if something's made up. if you can relate to it, it's going to help you.
Yeah.
And so a fictional character going through the same thing as you is good. It's useful. And even if it's something you can only imagine going through, like with Ex Machina, we haven't been through that. I'm not an AI, I don't think.
You don't think?
If I am, the coders had a really good time writing my childhood. Because what the fuck?
Right.
That's what's great about Caleb's, is his childhood has almost no detail to it.
Right. They don't.
His parents died when he was young. He's a coder.
That's about all
Okay.
you know.
It's like, is that all he has to say, or is that all there is? I don't know.
And did they make him a coder because it's easier for him to understand binary languages, or,
Uh-huh. Yeah, what else are you going to do? Give him some other hobby where you have to... No. Both of these movies.
Great stuff. Gosh. I powered through both of them in the last 2 days, and I couldn't be happier for it.
So, then it comes down to sort of conclusion.
Okay.
Which one's better?
Oh, I knew this was coming because like I said, I listened to your episodes. Oh, I'm going to say, for me personally, because the emotional involvement, Eternal Sunshine is.
I think I'm in that same place. Emotionally, it's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. With the density and even noticing new stuff last night, I think there's a potential that I could think Ex Machina is a better film in the long run.
Right. I can see that.
But next year, I'll be breaking down both of them minute by minute, and maybe they're both going to hold up as the top two. Who knows?
Do them simultaneously.
That's what I'm hoping, yeah, is do them like, I'll do them like Annihilation, where it's like one episode a week, and then just do them both at the same time.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, so I think, yeah.
Were I to choose one that had to be on an island with me for the rest of my life, I'd probably go with Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Generally, if people, I don't like coming up with a favorite film list. I'm like, someone's like, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, "Oh, shut up! I don't want to rate them." But if someone forces me to, I usually would offer Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or Adaptation, which we talked about a couple weeks ago with Eric, or Zero Effect, which I'm going to talk about in a couple weeks with Walt. And there's these movies I know were in my top 5.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where, like you said,
then it gets weird.
When it first came, especially when it first came out and I first saw it, this was definitely when somebody asked me my favorite. Yep, this is it. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And that's shifted a little bit, but...
And watching it again, it still holds up the same way. It still hits.
Oh, definitely. It hasn't lost anything.
Okay, that was an easy comparison then. So if I go forward and make a top 18 list, I've got the selection from this one. So one more time, Thomas, where can the listeners hear more of you?
Sure. Never Ending Minute. Check that out. It's where we talk about Never Ending Story, 1 minute at a time. And then if you want to check out a pretty cool actual play D&D podcast, check out Crit Storm Cast.
Thank you for listening. This has been Cock and Bull Minute, a Tristram Shandy story. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cock Bull Minute, or find us in the Facebook listeners group, Cock and Bull Pub. Find more content at lemmingdrops.com.